Hey there, Lori Elke here. You guys have got to try this technique. Maybe you are feeling stressed, maybe things are crazy, and you just need some time to refocus and to just kind of settle those nerves or settle down all that stress in your life. This is the painting for you. It is super fun and it is super therapeutic. I really enjoy doing this. So here it is. Check out the results on this one. Looks fancy, looks maybe a little bit difficult, but it really is super easy. And the secret ingredient, wax paper. So grab some wax paper from your kitchen and bring it on down to the art room. You only need enough to cover your painting. And yeah, check this out. So I just used watercolor, wax paper, and Sharpie for this awesome effect. You could do this in so many different ways, so many different techniques, but this is what I used. I also threw a pinch of salt in there too, so that's another fun option. Okay, so try this out. Let me know what you think if you like it. Again, I found it super therapeutic. And if you are liking my videos, please make sure to subscribe down below so that you can get notifications on when I have new videos coming out. Thanks so much for watching and let me know how you liked this video. For this project today, I will be using watercolor. I also have some salt in a cup. You can use table salt. This happens to be the kosher salt. I have wax paper and my paintbrushes. I'll also be using some Sharpies as well. So the first step is to thoroughly wet your paper, and you can see that I have my paper taped down to a board. That way it doesn't curl up when it gets all this water on it. So I do recommend taping your paper down so that it doesn't start rippling and curling when you add all of this water to the paper. If you don't have tape, you can also paint the front and the back of the paper and it will stick down to whatever surface you are painting on. Now I am going to start dropping color onto my very wet paper. And you can kind of choose whatever color scheme you want. You see I have a spray bottle too, just to make sure that everything stays super wet. That is very important. And I have chosen to do kind of some warm colors in like the orange family. And then I decided to do the complementary color, more of the blue family or turquoise. So I love this combination. It is definitely one of my favorites. So I'm just trying to add color and kind of move on. You can see I am not brushing the paint. Instead, I'm more just trying to kind of splatter it on there or dab it on, but not using big brush strokes because I want the paint to be kind of random and a very organic looking. So I'm just trying to kind of create these blobs of color. And my goal as I'm laying down my color is to kind of have the orange going in a diagonal area from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. And then I'll kind of fill the blue in around it. So that was kind of what I was thinking, but you can really play with this, have fun. Try lots of different ways. You could have just a random spots of each color, or you could have it start on one side and then gradually change into the other side. Don't be afraid to really have fun with this. So I'm just trying to throw in a nice amount of paint. I am adding a little bit of burnt sienna, which is like a reddish brown as well. And then here you see I am adding in some turquoise. Turquoise is my favorite color, so of course I have to add it to my painting. It always makes me happy to use my favorite color in my work. So I'm adding lots of turquoise. I'm trying to get a good amount of paint on the paper because after we do the next step and in general, everything will dry lighter. So just know that these dark, rich colors will actually be lighter in the final steps of the painting. So just make sure that you really put enough color on because it will lighten up. I'm just trying to kind of fill in around the orange and yellow with this turquoise. I'm adding in a little bit of Prussian blue, which is a dark, rich blue as well, because I do want some darks in here. Like I said, it will lighten up, so I'm really trying to get some bold colors in this first step, this initial application of paint. I'm also going to fill my brush with paint and then flick some paint with my finger onto my painting. You can see it adds little speckles of blue. And I really like just some added kind of randomness to my painting. I'm going to do that with the warm colors too, add some speckles of the warm colors to get a nice random look on my paper. Next, I want to just use a little bit of salt. This is optional. I'm going to sprinkle some salt. You could also do the entire thing with salt and not use any wax paper. That would be kind of a cool effect too. The salt kind of soaks up some of that water and creates kind of this cool crystallized pattern on the paper. All right, now for the wax paper. If you wanted to, you could just lay this paper completely flat on top of your painting, but I like to kind of vary it a little bit, so I'm just going to rip it into some random strips, and I'm going to try to stick them down on my painting. This works only if your painting is wet, so again, it's very important to have a nice wet painting to do this step of the project. And I'm just taking these strips and laying them all over my painting until the entire thing is covered. You can see that there's some bubbles, so sometimes I try to work those bubbles out and sometimes I just let them be. Now let it dry completely. Maybe go away for a snack or something and come back, and this is what you will get. This is kind of where the magic happens. So I'm peeling off the wax paper, and this is what is left. Kind of a really cool, interesting pattern. All right, now I am using thin Sharpie and am drawing some stone shapes on my page. Now I'm trying to make it so the stones are fairly close together, even touching, and depending on how detailed you want to be, you could do a lot of really small stones or a couple really big stones or a mixture of the two. And I wanted to kind of make my stones follow that diagonal line of the warm colors. So I started in the middle and I'm kind of working in that diagonal area. Now I did speed this up a little bit, so if you need to pause the video so you can catch up, please feel free to do that. Now I'm taking a thicker Sharpie and I'm coloring in the areas in between the stones with my thick Sharpie. And I'm just trying to get those little triangular shapes filled in with black. And this is where it really helps give our painting some depth, makes it look more like stones instead of circles. Just going around and filling that in. I'm trying to be very careful on my edges so that I am coloring in nice and neatly. And you could use a thin Sharpie for this. I just wanted to use the thick one to kind of speed up the process. I filled in those. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw in some more stones to kind of branch farther out away from the center of my painting. Doing a mixture of large and small shapes. and trying to put them as close together as possible. Now you could fill your entire picture with stones so that the entire thing is just a mixture of these stones. But I wanted to leave some areas that were empty, that just had the fun patterns that the wax paper left. So my stones are going to gradually kind of fade out on the sides of this mass of stones. So you can see on the top, I just did half of a stone and then left it open-ended. And I plan on doing that kind of around the edges, and we'll just have all of the details kind of towards the center of my picture. So I'm just going to go back and forth. Here's another open one until I get all of the stones that I want in my picture. I think I'll do another open one here. Maybe fit another small one in a couple of places. Start working up towards the left here. Creating lots of different sizes, different shapes of rock. Close enough so that they look like they could almost touch, or they do share at least a little bit of sides here. And then add a couple of half stones that kind of fade off into the distance. I'm continuing to fill in around the stones all of the different little shapes. You can also kind of tweak the black areas, which is what I'm doing, to make some of the black areas a little bit bigger. This kind of helps define the center part of your picture. So I wanted some of my black shapes just to be a little bit larger. And then I'm just adding a little bit of extra detail here along the edges with my Sharpie. So have fun with this, experiment, and see what you can come up with for all of the different areas of the painting. Now the last thing that I did is I am taking my brush and just outlining some of these rocks with another shade of turquoise. This is kind of helping it make it look like a little more depth is going on here. Also, if I had some really sharp lines that the tissue paper left, sometimes I like to kind of scrub at those a little bit so that they weren't so hard. I'm just kind of tracing around the edges of the rocks. You don't even have to do every rock. I just liked kind of adding those details, getting a little bit more depth to some of these to make them look like they were kind of shaded a little bit more. I wanted to flick some more paint on it, so here I am flicking some warm colors on my picture. And now I can remove my tape outline to reveal some nice crisp white edges on my finished piece. And I love the effect that leaves as well. I hope you enjoyed this process. It is so therapeutic, just kind of going around all the stones and filling those in. And please let me know if you tried it and how you liked it. I love hearing from you and seeing your work. Thanks so much for watching, and hope to see you again soon.